Let's talk about Hamlet, because of course for both of you, he's one of the men in your lives, right? You mentioned your father, you have Claudius, and of course the old Hamlet. So Hamlet, in this case, in your first scene, you have your father and brother warning you about Hamlet, saying, you know, don't give in to his, and Hamlet's a pain right from your first scene on. So is it that these women have to please some males and they can't please all the males? In a way, Hamlet's the male that you, both of you, don't manage to please.
I think Gertrude ultimately chooses Hamlet in terms of protecting him. You know, she has a great outpouring of love, even though she didn't protect him enough to not get married so early. But I think ultimately at the end she protects him, even as she drinks the poison. She wants to warn him, and you know, I think finally the penny drops. But you know, she does choose him, and she does when he has her in the bed scene, in the bedroom scene, where he accuses her and speaks the truth. She does accept it, and she believes him. And so I think ultimately her alliances are with Hamlet.
Okay. How about for Ophelia?
Well, I think Hamlet really is the love of her life. I think so much of Ophelia's role in Hamlet hinges on that relationship. I think together they could have been the next king and queen, you know, or not next, but you know, there's such potential there that.
But she's asked to do things like, you know, don't tell him we're here, and you know, give him back his stuff.
Yeah, I think out of her love for Hamlet, I think that there is a sense of how do we help him? How do we, what do we do to get him out of this state that he's in? And also just, I mean, honor thy father and mother. You do what your father tells you to do, whether you like it or not. I mean, I don't really know that she has a choice in the matter in terms of the nunnery scene and having to be this, putting Hamlet in this position with Papa and Claudius spying on them.
You're making good points, because we have the benefit of seeing the ghost, so we know Hamlet's right, but the two of you are basically...
We just see him mad and crazy and don't understand really, you know, why and how this has happened. And for somebody, you know, who's found the man of her dreams, and all of a sudden he's come into her room with his stockings fouled, you know, his pants basically down to his ankles, and she says his doublet all unbraced. He's basically just filthy in front of her, and she doesn't understand why this has happened.
Well, in both the women, Gertrude doesn't understand. She says, you know, what have I done? She really doesn't understand why, and wants to make him feel better, wants everything to be right, everything to be, you know, so I think both of the women really are. We're really trying to work to ease his pain, because he clearly is in a great deal of pain.
Pain. Both of you begin this play very happy. You have a wedding.
Yes, I do.
You're getting, you know, you're obviously deeply loved by
Lots
your
of
father.
love letters. Yeah.
And by the end, you learn a lot about pain.
Yes.
Is that, I mean, that's an interesting transformation for these women.
Yeah, it is a huge, well, and I think for Gertrude it happens in the bedroom scene when she says, you know, don't say any more. You've turned my eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their taint. It is the first time that she's feeling the pain of self-awareness, you know, of knowledge. It's that, you know, being cast out of the Garden of Eden, right? You know, I know, and so I'm feeling that pain. That makes sense, doesn't it?
It's very good, actually.
Nice.
And your pain overcomes your senses, right?
Yeah, to the point where I can't go on living. There's nothing, absolutely nothing left to live for. So that's why I think it's very important to begin. I mean, Adrienne Noble has made a real decision to begin so positively, so the fall makes sense.
Right.
You know, so you can see this young woman full of life and such potential, you know, lose everything in an instant, and she never really gets a chance to experience all the great things in life.
All right, there are some questions here about your own careers and your interests. What has been your favorite role so far, and do you have any dream roles? Does anybody want to jump in with either of those two questions?
I think Ophelia will be my favorite role. I just have a feeling, but you know, we've only done 4 previews so far, but I think I'm going to have a really great time with that. Oh gosh, it's so hard. I loved playing Miranda, and probably a big part of that was being able to play with Bill Hutt. I loved playing Yasmin last year in the Pentecost because the subject matter was so raw, and I felt like I could actually really not make a difference, but have an impact because of the rawness of the material, and because it was so relevant to today with exactly, very, very relative to today. But I've loved every role for different reasons.
And what about that dream role? You're avoiding that question.
Oh, my dream role. I don't know. I'm practicing non-attachment right now, so.
Dare to dream, right? And Maria, what's been your favorite so far?
Well, you know, I love Gertrude. I'll answer another question too. It says, you know, what is this the most challenging? I think Gertrude is a very challenging role because there's not a lot of text, and there's so mining her and trying to figure out her, that's a big challenge. I loved Lear. I loved playing Regan in King Lear. I would love to play Goneril in King Lear. Because it's one of my favorite plays. I would like to play Lady Macbeth. You know, a lot of things. I'd like to do some musicals again because I used to do musicals in the past. So I'd sort of like to get back into that singing role as well.
Wow, all this stuff I didn't know.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yes, I did read John Updike's Gertrude and Claudius.
Oh, you're covering all the questions.
Yeah, I did. I read that just recently, and I loved the way it fleshed out these characters. So
this was a question about John Updike's Gertrude and Claudius's background reading. And so, did you find that on Google, Adrienne, or you avoided that one?
Yeah, didn't come across that one, but it's not too late.
I want to thank you both very much for all of this. And you've gone from preview 1 to preview 4, and you've got 70-some performances to go?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
It might be nice to cut you back later on, perhaps in the fall, and you can tell us how things grew and changed over that period of time.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
That would be great. That would be great. Thanks, Andrew.
Maria and Adrienne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Join us next week. We have a time change. We're going to 11:30 in the morning. That's right, 11:30, so you can pack a lunch and come watch us at your computer. And next week's going to be very interesting because we have an interview with Michael Langham, who was really the seminal force in the creation of the Stratford Festival. He picked up what Guthrie started and he ran with it and created the festival that we know today. And of course, Love's Labour's Lost, Maria was directed by him in this production. It was a production play that he knows inside out. We're also going to, after the interview with him, get a chance to talk to 2 of the young actresses who are in that production. So please join us for that. I know you'll have a wonderful time, and tell your friends. So next week, Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. See you then.